So I cleaned up this area. We're gonna start framing now. Alright, so I laid out my top plate, my bottom plate. The green one is the bottom plate because it's pressure treated. I found exactly on the floor where my walls are gonna end. So this is from this surface, 3.5 inches out is that line. And then, like I said, 3.5 inches to that for like the airspace plus the blocking, and then another 3.5 for the wall itself. So that's the edge of this wall. Goes all the way down. All the way down. It's like 32 feet or something like that to here. The blue line is this side of this wall, and this is the other side of it. So that's the end. So this wall is just going to go in between these two walls. So I have it laid out. Probably not the smartest thing to build this all in one shot because it's going to be heavy. That's the only problem, and it's going to take all of us to lift it, like my whole family. But I have it all laid out, and I'm only using 8-foot boards. I was using 8-foot pressure treated for the base, and then 8-foot for the top, and then I bought the 10-footers for the studs. So obviously it's not one board going this whole length, so there's going to be seams. So where the seams were, I made sure to stagger them. So just that way, the only time that's gonna be helpful is when we're standing the wall. There's not gonna be a bunch of weak spots where all the seams are. They're gonna be offset, so it'll be a little stronger. So you can see there's a seam in the pressure treated there, but it's a solid piece of the top plate. And then same thing here, top plate's cut and that one's solid. Those two are right next to each other. The other ones are more offset. Like there's the top seam, there's the bottom seam, there's the top seam, there's the bottom seam, top seam, and then all the way to the corner. So it should be nice and strong. So I'm framing this wall on my own, and I'm using a screw gun, which both of those things make it harder. So with a nail gun, say you have, so what I did basically is I did one side, I'm doing the other. So when you have a nail gun, let's say a piece of wood is a little crooked like that. Like at that end, it's nice and flush. The board warps, and if you try to bend that with your hands, it's not working. With a nail gun, if you can at least for a second there get it bent, you can pop a nail in the end and you're good. But with the screw gun, it's a little harder because you have to hold it there, and then you're holding the drill with the other hand, and it's just really frustrating. So what I'm doing every time this happens, where it's just warped and I can't bend it, I put a screw in the bottom or just on one of the sides, and then I have this thing. I clamp. Now this board's screwed in good with both screws. Like I said, that one just has one, so it can rotate. So I just tighten it up. I'll clamp it right in. Boom, nice and straight. Put a screw in there, and it'll hold. I'll make sure at the top that I has room for that wall.
Alright, this one's good. Now it's dead on perfect.
I guess you should.
No, maybe she might be closer to the wall. That's what I see.
Alright, so there's the wall all stood up, and I went ahead, built the next one. Today, all by myself, I did this one. I'm hoping to God that I measured it right and that it stands up. Now, this was a hard wall to build, and I'll show you part of why building a basement is so frustrating. So, the top of the wall is going to be, now this wall, first of all, it goes, top of it goes parallel with the joist, so we had to put in this blocking. So that's, the wall's going to go like right here, so it's going to attach into that blocking. Well, the end of it is going to be right pretty much on the end of this board. So the top of the wall goes up to, up to the ceiling there, all the way over. It's going to come down, go around this duct, and then up here you can't go all the way to the ceiling because of these the gas line, and they're both gas lines or whatever they are. So you could notch out the top plate, but instead of doing that, I just did blocking just like on the other side, but then I just screwed in 2 pieces to the bottom of it to bring it down. So I just lowered the height of the top plate. Now if you're thinking, well, what are you going to do about the ceiling? Well, the ceiling, this is part of the area where the ceiling is going to be lower. So the ceiling is only going to go up to a little lower than where the bottom of that thing is. So that's not going to make any difference at all as far as the ceiling goes. So the wall's ready to stand up. But yeah, when I did that, it's very hard to do. First thing I did was I drew it out on a piece of paper. And we were almost going to have to box out for that black duct, but we got lucky. But there's what I drew. And then I just did some measurements, and it was not easy to do, but I made sure it was all laid out real nice first before I did anything. So you can see how nice that looks. Now, one of the things I was worried about, because this is going to be bolted up into the ceiling, that's going to be screwed up into the ceiling, but this is not going to be attached to anything. So I was worried about the strength of this. When this is standing up, if you push on the wall right here, I was worried about this bending. So what I did is I doubled this up, so you have the sideways strength. It's basically a 4x4 basically. So I'm not worried about that not being strong enough. I think it's gonna be good. So I put lots of screws in that. So that's about ready to stand up. So we got a bunch of new wood today. If you were wondering in the video you just saw what the device was that we used to put the attach this to the floor, it's called a ram set first time ever using one of these. It's really neat. Basically what it is, it's a gun. I mean, it's essentially a gun. You take a special nail. It has a little orange thing on it so it doesn't fall all the way back in there. You put that in the end of it, and then I can't do it with one hand, but this thing, it pulls out and there's a hole that opens up in there. You put a little, basically a bullet in there, and then you push this down. It's got a little spring so it goes down a little bit, and then when you hit the end with a hammer, it explodes and forces the nail down into the concrete. And there's actually a little bit of smoke comes out of it when you pop the thing out, the little cartridge. So these are the shells, and so they explode out of there. But that's what it looks like. There's this little orange thing that comes off. But yeah, that's sunk in there nice and deep, so that's works real nice. So, and then the top of the wall we just have screwed in there. So yeah, that's a really nice tool. It works out, and it was only like 30 bucks or something. It works real nice though. All right, there's the latest wall. Didn't I just nailed the corners. See, I didn't do the middle. And this wall's not attached, and neither is this. So, but look how nice that looks. All the pipes fit real nice there. And so for delivering wood and other supplies, it's like 60 bucks base price at Home Depot to get things delivered. So, and then you add on the extra costs So instead of doing that, just use the trailer. So this is the egress window in the basement, and we just slide things down in there, and there's where that other window is. But just park the trailer out front and just move everything in. If we have a lot of stuff to move, like yesterday we had about 70 boards, I just backed the car, I just backed it right up to here and just unloaded into there. It's easier if there's someone in the basement to grab it. But today, just bringing in 15 8-footers, so it's not bad. So the trailer's 4x8, so it's a hair smaller than that actually because of these things. So it doesn't hold wood that great, and it won't hold any plywood unless you lean up against these walls, but that's how we do it. So here's the window from the basement. Slide everything in, stack it in piles. Now I'll show you the different kinds of wood that we're using. We have 3 different kinds of boards. So first one is just a 2x4x8. It's a hair longer than 8 feet, and it's like $2.30 per board or something like that. So really cheap, and we're using them wherever we can, so because it's the best value. Now these are the same thing, but they're 10 feet long, and they're like a white fir, and this is, yeah, it's a slightly different type of tree. I don't know exactly how that works, but so these are a little bit whiter in color, these are a little bit more red. But since the ceilings are so tall, we need to use the 10-foot boards for the walls. Now these are 3 something per board, and the cost like per foot is actually a little bit more. So we're using these wherever we can, and these where we have to. Now we need to end up using a lot more of the 10-foot boards. And then over here is the same thing, but these are 8-foot boards, but they're pressure treated. So the only thing we're using these for is for the bottom place, anything that's touching the concrete. So a wall like this uses all 3 boards. The base is the pressure treated. The studs are the 10-footers cut. They're cut to about a little less than 9 feet. And then the top is the 8-foot boards, like I said, because we can. Doesn't really make a difference, it's just a couple cents cheaper. Alright, welcome to, I guess, a new video. So, what we've done since the last time I took a video is cut out the bottom plate for that door. Bought a bunch more wood. And we started building a bunch of these ladder walls that are going to support the ceiling. So, this is all of the little studs for them, all cut exactly the same. And we redid the one that's up here that I did earlier. That's actually 2 of them. And I can hang from it and it doesn't even crack or anything, so it's good. And if you come up here, there's a slight space in between the pole, or I mean the beam and that. And it's nice and straight the whole way down. So that'll look good. And then the 2x4 will be nailed to the bottom of it, going that way. The next wall will be right here. It'll go the whole length. And so they'll span from there to there. Then the next one will be right on the other side of the duct, the whole way down. And then there won't be one on that wall because it'll just butt into the wall. So I'm making more of them right now. I have them all laid out, top and bottom plates, and I'm building them. And I also framed in this wall over here. So we just took out the railing and filled this in. So that's where you can see where I added on. So that'll look good.